And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors.
Donald Trump is shaking up the tax conversation with a bold proposal: no federal income taxes for Americans earning less than $150,000 per year. But how realistic is this plan, and what could it mean for the economy? In this video, we break down everything you need to know, from the details of the proposal to the impact on your wallet.
How about no tax on tips? How about no tax on overtime? How about no Social Security? How about all those things? These are the kind of thoughts that will change America. I know what his goal is. No tax for anybody who makes less than $150,000 a year. That's his goal. And that's what I'm working for.
This isn't the first time we've heard about Trump's plan to eliminate income taxes for middle-class Americans. In a recent interview, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick hinted at this very idea during a discussion about tariffs and economic policy. Lutnick emphasized Trump's vision for tax reform, stating that the ultimate goal was to eliminate federal income taxes for individuals earning less than $150,000 per year. Lutnick outlined a strategy where America shifts its tax burden away from middle-class workers and instead seeks new revenue sources, such as international tariffs, closing tax loopholes, and restructuring trade policies.
He needs to drive down interest rates. Those are the key drivers, right? Food, we're going to bring it down. The way we're going to bring down food in the big picture is there are so many countries who block our farmers, our ranchers, and our fishermen. They just block us. If we unblock it and they can produce more volume, they produce it at a lower price. Putting a $4 trillion tax hike on Americans is like, what's the term? The opposite of Donald Trump. He wants to bring down the Internal Revenue Service, and those Democrats who say, oh, let's raise taxes on all Americans. That's the more taxes from the Internal Revenue Service. Listen to Donald Trump. He said, I created the External Revenue Service to have other people pay, not Americans. It's time for Americans to realize that everyone else is living off of us. Let's let them pay some of their fair share. Instead of we all say, oh, we pay our fair share, how about all the people who are living off us? How about Mercedes? Think of all the cars they sell. How about they pay some? Look at everything you buy. Maybe, just maybe, the people who provide that should pay.
He argued that for too long, the U.S. economy has supported foreign industries while overtaxing American workers. According to him, Trump's economic approach aims to rebalance this system, ensuring that other countries contribute more, while American citizens keep more of their earnings. Beyond just tax relief, Lutnick also pointed out that Trump's plan would include eliminating taxes on tips, overtime, and even Social Security, further increasing take-home pay for millions of workers. At the time of the interview, these ideas seemed like ambitious goals, but now we're seeing them take shape.
Trump has pledged to abolish tip taxes and has pushed for massive tax cuts for people and businesses alike. And Lutnick's remarks on Social Security and tip taxes mirrored those pledges. There are concerns on surging U.S. debt and how tax cuts could weigh further. However, Lutnick asserted that other people, not Americans, would foot the bill. The Commerce Secretary said the United States was losing money due to offshore tax frauds, and if these scams were to halt, the government would have more money to spend on programs like tax cuts for the Americans. Lutnick said that more tax money will be brought in by Trump's proposal for a $5 million golden visa program, and that included a proposal for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. The next step is for the Senate to vote on the measure, although Trump's policies, particularly those implemented by the DOJ, have garnered mixed reviews. He is still pursuing tax cuts and at the same time trying to lower the country's massive fiscal deficit.
This raises the question: was Trump's no-tax plan always part of a broader economic strategy? And if so, how will it be funded? Let's take a closer look at the details of the proposal and what it could mean for you.
Money's going to come into our coffers, and America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know, the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively, And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
Under the current U.S. tax system, individuals pay federal income tax based on their income levels, with rates ranging from 10% to 37%. Trump's new proposal seeks to eliminate federal income taxes for anyone making $150,000 or less. That means no deductions, no tax filings, and keeping 100% of your paycheck, at least in terms of federal taxes.
Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world.
At the World Economic Forum, President Donald Trump made a bold promise to deliver the largest tax cuts in history. He emphasized that cutting taxes would boost the economy and make America more competitive globally. His plan includes eliminating federal income taxes for individuals earning less than $150,000, a move that could drastically change the financial landscape for millions. Trump argued that excessive taxation has driven businesses overseas, and his new policy aims to reverse that trend by keeping more money in American pockets. However, critics question how the government will make up for the lost revenue and whether this could increase the national deficit. If enacted, this would be one of the most significant tax reforms in U.S. history. But will it become reality? That remains to be seen.
Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA.
This isn't Trump's first tax cut proposal. Back in 2017, he signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, reducing corporate tax rates and individual tax rates. Supporters say it fueled economic growth, while critics argue it increased the national deficit. Let's break it down with real-life examples. If you earn $80,000 per year, you currently pay around $9,000 in federal income tax. Under Trump's plan, you would keep all of that. But what about those earning $160,000? Would they pay tax on just the extra $10,000? That's still unclear. No taxes for individuals making under $150,000 sounds great. But there's one major question. How will the government make up for the lost revenue? The federal budget relies heavily on income taxes. Cutting the source would remove over $6 trillion in revenue over a decade. This could impact Social Security, Medicare, and defense spending. Public reaction has been divided. Some see this as a game changer for middle-class Americans, while others worry about its long-term consequences. If Trump's proposal doesn't pass, are there alternative solutions? Some policymakers suggest lowering tax rates instead of eliminating them. Others propose increasing corporate taxes to offset the revenue loss. Trump's tax proposal is still just that, a proposal. It would need approval from Congress. which could mean major revisions before it becomes law. Trump's tax plan could be a financial windfall for many, but it raises serious economic questions. Will this proposal become law? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on politics and finance.